What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Trading Learning 101. Today's video, I'm going to do technical analysis on NBEV and show you the step-by-step process on how I break down a stock ticker and draw trend lines, figure out support and resistance, and the psychology behind the ticker. Let's jump into it. When you're just starting off in trading stocks and the stock market, you get an overwhelming feeling because there's so many stocks in the stock market. You don't know what to trade. You want to trade what everybody else is trading. You want to figure out what everybody else is looking at. But at the end of the day, what you want to do really is go through all these stocks, look at the chart patterns, look at the chart history, and see which ones move, which ones are volatile, which ones have volume. Just look at the patterns. That's all. The brain is pattern recognition. That's what it basically is at the end of the day. You don't need to trade the number one stock every single day. You could pick 1, 2 stocks, and if it's moving consistently for weeks, months, years even, repeating patterns over and over and over again, you can capitalize so much off of just that 1 or 2 stocks that out of thousands that are out there in the stock market. Like I said, you want to make sure it's volatile, it has volume, it has range, like from $4 to $8, going back and forth, back and forth. That's what we call a range play. And if it's got volume, I'd say over 1 million at least every single day on average. You can get in and out of that thing easily with a couple thousand shares or a couple hundred shares, and you could just trade the crap out of it every single day and just focus on that one stock until the pattern breaks and it's not tradable anymore. Let me make myself smaller, or actually, you know what, I'm going to remove myself off the screen. So first up, I'm going to bring up the daily chart, and this is ticker NBEV, and you could see if I zoom out on this thing has gone from 20 cents all the way up to $7.24, came back down to $1.30, and then it shot right back up to almost $10, pulled back to 3, and then shot back up to 6. So if I zoom in here, and you could see there's no volume all right here, and it shows me the volume right up here. So if I just scroll to the right, you could see really the average volume every day is at around 200,000, 100,000, 500,000. It's not hitting 1 million or anything. We start hitting the volume right here, as you can see. And this is going all the way back to August 31st of 2018. I'm making this video January 13th of 2019. So we got September, October, November, December, and now it's January. So we have a good solid 4.5 months of big volume on this. And the average volume, if I just scroll over every day, we're well over 86 million, 129 million, 103, 43 million, 42 million, 25 million, 17 million, all the way. Huge volume in on this. If you zoom in more, you could see it's starting to have a little pattern here of a ball like bouncing up and down. You got this big little shoot up here, comes down, and then a big shoot up. And every time it drops down, it gets a bounce. And literally, just like a ball, every time that ball, after the first big shot right here, when it comes down, it starts to putter out. And you can see it puttered out right here. And then we got another shot up right here. When I'm just first analyzing a stock, the first thing I'm always going to look at is the daily chart. to see what the price history is telling me. What's the price action? Does this like to move? Does it have a history of spiking big? Does it have big volume days? On the big volume days, what was the range? How much did it move? There's all kinds of factors that you have to take into when doing technical analysis on a stock. Now, this is just going to be straight up technical analysis. We're not even going to get into the fundamentals, and that's a whole different story. Finding out what the float is, the shares outstanding, institutional owned, what are the SEC filings, that's all pretty much fundamentals. Really finding out what the float is, the shares outstanding, is really important before you even look at a ticker. The float, the lower the float, the bigger the rip could be with volume. The higher the float, the more volume it's going to take for this to move. Institutionally owned, the higher institutional owned, they're going to eat up the shares outstanding. And you're going to have to look into the SEC filings to see if there's any selling. Is the company trying to dilute this? Do they have any shelf offerings? Stuff like that. Let's just pull it up. I want to pull it up real quick just so we can see what the float is on NBEV. And this is always a must. You have to do this every ticker you look at. So I'll pull up FinViz right here and I'll type in NBEV. Now I have FinViz Elite, so I'm going to get to see a little bit more information than on what you would on the free version. So we see right here, the shares outstanding is 73 million. The float is 52 million. So alright, I know this has a little bit bigger of a float. Insider ownership is at 10% and institution owned is at 6.50%. So this is pretty low. That's good. That's what I want to see. And even the insider ownership, that's low. That's what I want to see. And the short float is at almost 30%. 30% of the float is short. And then if you wanted to get into the news on it, you can go through and skim through all this stuff right here to see what the company has been doing. So with NBEV knowing that it has a float of 50 million, which is a medium-sized float, I would say. It's a little on the bigger side, but it's showing that it has range and it likes to move. Right here, with volume at 50 million, 86 million, and 130 million. And it's got a range up from $3 to $5 and $5.25 to $7.82. Looking also at the ATR, the average true range, is pretty important. Going back to FinViz real quick, I know this video is going to jump around a lot of places. Another key thing is looking at the average volume and the volume on the day. The average volume this has been trading at is 12.3 million. The volume the last trading day was 10.3 million. And the ATR right here, average true range, and this is scanning the average true range over the past 14 days. And it's had an average true range of 60 cents. Very, very key to see what the ATR is. But going back, like I said, to NBEV, it's above all of its moving averages right now, which is a sign of bullishness. And the moving averages are slightly pointing up. If this was below the moving averages, this is a bearish territory if the stock is below these moving averages. Now, these are going to act as somewhat of a support if it decides to come right back down. As you can see right here, this green line, this is the 100-day moving average, and you can see it bounced off it right here and right here. And this 50-day moving average somewhat acted as a resistance right here, and then it finally broke above it, and then when it came back down, it bounced off that 50-day moving average. So let's put this together and see what we can come up with. Instantly, I'll zoom out and I'll see what the 52-week high is. So we can see we made a 52-week high right here at around $10. So I'll draw a resistance line starting right there at $10. And then I'll see if there's any key volume days in the past that could, at a price level, if there's a huge volume day at a price, that could be an area of interest. So right here I see a very huge volume day right here, and the stock traded from 550 up to 780. And then I'll also look to see what the previous high was before this, and it looked to be around 720. Zooming in on this on the recent history, I'll start to draw trend lines. There's a couple here I can draw. From the top right here, connecting down like that. And you could see with this trend line, every time it came down and came right back up, it touched this line. This is connecting the lower highs. And that's going to act as a resistance. And it's proven that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on the way down right here. And you could see also, I can draw another trend line at the bottom right here, and we could connect going up like that. So going off of the daily chart right here, we can see it's right at its resistance right here. So we can expect selling possibly to come right back down and then bounce up again until or if it breaks over this resistance line, or it could just fall right down and break this support line right here. The goal that I want to look for is I want to look for the pattern of what everybody else is trading. So right now I can see this is in an ascending wedge going up. So after I looked at this daily now, I'll instantly go to the 65 minute and see how it's been trading on the 65 minute. We'll remove all of these lines. So you want to look at the picture in a big view and then start to zoom in. I'll look at it in the 65 minute, and then I'll look at it in a 30 minute, 15 minute, 10 minute, 5 minute, all the way down to pinpoint my entry. So starting with the 65 minute, we could see it was trending down right here, and then it went sideways right here with even a gap down. It went sideways, and then it trended up a little bit, and then now it's looking to consolidate and go sideways again before its next move. A lot of stocks will always, more than likely, make a move up or down, consolidate before it makes its next move. You can see that right here. When it trended down, it consolidated sideways here before it made its next move, and its next move it went up. And then after this up move, it pulled back, and now it's looking to consolidate again before it makes its next move. So what are some key levels right here that I'm looking for? It had a gap down, and whenever a stock has a gap, it's like an error in the chart. And a lot of traders will look for that error in the gap to be filled. So we simply seen it right here. When it gapped down, it trended down, it had earnings right here, and then it filled this gap right here. Almost trended back down, and then came right back up, and it filled the gap right here. So we see it topped out right here at around the $7 area right here. And the $7 whole mark, it's an even number, $7. So I'm going to draw a resistance line right here at 7. It's not going to be perfect, 695, but it's the general area that I want to focus on. Not $7 exactly, like from $6.90 to $7 to $7.10. That's the general $7 area. So we have this pullback right here, and you could see it's just been grinding and grinding and grinding up. Slowly but surely just making higher lows. So another thing I can draw another trend line connecting all these higher lows going up like that. And you can see how the stock started to trend up and got away from this trend line right here. So I'm going to be looking possibly for this to trend back down to this trend line to hold this trend line. It's too far away from this trend line for me to even touch this stock. So now that I looked at the 65 minute, I'm going to zoom in on the 30 minute. And what's the 30 minute telling me? Even with the 30 minute, I can see a little bit more data than what I could on the 65 minute. So we have our $7 resistance right here. And then up here, it got really toppy. It made this high up here at 10. And it looked like it triple topped right here at around 9.50. But the current price is currently at $6. Big volume here when it was up in this area. But again, I think I can make another trend line on this. Don't be afraid to draw trend lines. Look at that. You could draw a perfect trend line all the way back from September, just connecting the higher lows all the way, even from way back here. Look at that. That's a huge wedge. You can see it had this great move up, and it's just been bouncing inside of this huge wedge. It trended down, bounced off of it, had a little bounce, bounced off it again, and then just started trending up, back up to this top resistance line, and it's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And when I go back and look at the 65 minute, we were in the middle of this wedge right here. When I switch over to the 30 minute, I can clearly see we're at the tippy top of this resistance trend line right here. So like I said, I would look for it to start pulling back down to this bottom support trend line right here and continue getting tighter and tighter and tighter. See how quickly the broad picture just made more sense from looking at a 65 minute and then looking at a 30 minute. And then now I'm going to switch over to the 15 minute. Zoom out on the 15 minute. We see a lot going on this. A lot. I'm just going to remove all these previous old trend lines I had. We can see a clear triple top right here at 688. So the $7 area still. And you can just see how it all comes together the more time frames you look at. You can clearly see $7 is a big resistance area for this. Right here, somewhat right here, and then all the way back right here and right here. And this thing just dropped on down and then just slowly grinded its way back on up. Dropped down again, and then a very slow grind right here. Watching this stock every day, seeing how it moves. What I've noticed, how NBEV likes to move, NBEV likes to surge up and it likes to surge down when it moves. And then it consolidates. And then it'll surge either up or it'll surge down. And then it'll consolidate. There's just so many factors you got to take in when you want to trade a stock. You could draw another trend line right there. Looks to be having some resistance here at 650. If I zoom in, it's getting very tight. We had a triple top right here at 550. 1, 2, 3, 4. It topped out at this area. And then it even confirmed support right there and right there. Bounced right there. And then it was even resistance, and then it was resistance all right here. Surged up and through it, came back down, did break it, but then it did hold as support again. So I'm going to draw support here at 550. And then real quick, let's look at the 10 minute. Just zoom in, looking at all these time frames and just putting it together, seeing where the price is at. That's what the whole goal is of this. And the more you do this and do this and do this, the faster you'll get. And this yellow line is the VWAP on the 10 minute. I don't know why I got the VWAP up on the 10 minute. Well, let's zoom in a little bit more. And this is the 5 minute. And again, this 550 area, I really like this level right here. That's an area of interest, as I would say. And you got a triple top right there at almost $7. $7 again, another key area I'm seeing on this. So like I said, it's like right in the middle of its range. But when I go to the 30-minute, it's up at the top of its resistance. So I'd be looking for a pullback back down to this 550s area and would consider possibly getting in for an entry. And that's how you do it. You get in on it, and then when it starts to move on up, sell it when it gets near the resistance line up there. And then just repeat the process over and over and over again. That's where you hear a lot of traders say, patience pays. Patience is key. And if you were to get in on the pullback down to 550, having that discipline to cut it if it breaks the support line. Don't hold and hope. Discipline, knowing when to cut your trades, and having patience and waiting for your entries. And just looking for patterns over and over and over and over again. And then we'll look at the 3-minute. You could see very violent moves on this, especially at the open. You can see right here from 550 it surged up to almost $6, pulled back, and then grinded up to the close. Had a very violent sell-off right here, back down to the 550 area, and then popped all the way back up to 650, pulled back, started to look like it was grinding, making a ascending wedge, and then it just failed and sold off. But it kept coming down to the $6 area, and then the next day in the morning had a very nice spike up from 6 all the way up to 640. So this thing likes to move in the mornings. Right at the open it likes to move. And looking at it in the 2-minute. And being here every day to see how this stock moves. You could clearly see the pattern on this over and over. It likes to spike either up or down in the morning, and then consolidate and fail, and then start to grind or trend back down. Putting all this together and coming up with your own hypothesis. Never want to predict what a stock will do, just always react. What the chart is telling me is it's at its peak, it's at its resistance, so I would probably look for a violent sell-off in the morning, and then when it would come down to a key support level, that's when I would look to enter or get in, and then ride the slow grind up. And never get greedy with this. This doesn't look to have any clear breakouts. It loves its resistance. Loves its resistance, as we can see. It likes to top a lot. Going in on a breakout on this is a bad idea. It's just basic support and resistance. Always, 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 always selling at resistance on this. Always. And when having profits, always locking it up. Yeah, you clearly see it. Just doesn't like to break out. But then when it does break out, it has a very violent move up. And then it'll come right back down. And then correlating it, like I said, with the daily chart. And this is just all technicals. This is no fun. We didn't even get into the fundamentals or anything. Looking at SEC filing, is there insider buying, insider selling? What's going on with the company? Digging deep in the filings. You got to look into the filings. You got to. But I wanted to show you guys a video of how I do technical analysis and let you see my thinking process when breaking down a stock and looking at the charts in multiple time frames. And not only looking at just candlestick charts, looking at line charts as well. With the daily, looking at line charts, the 65-minute, looking at line charts, 15-minute. Look at as many different charts as you can. And also look at volumes. When a stock comes up to a price level, look at the volume. You could see there's a huge volume surge right here when the stock was approaching the 650 level. And look what happened with that big volume surge right there. It topped out at 650, and then 650 held as resistance 1, 2, 3, 4 times after that. And looking back on old chart history, what was old resistance if the price is above? Old resistance should hold as support. And you can see right here it topped out right here and right here. This 540, 550 level. You draw a support line on that and look what happened. It came and bounced off it right there, and it even bounced off it a little bit right there, popped up and then cracked it, and then you could see it started to grind a little bit back up to it, and then it surged over that resistance. And then when it surged over it, it somewhat bounced right off of that general area and then got momentum and just went on up. Just putting it all together, seeing what. That's why I love looking at charts. The chart really tells a good story and you could put it all together. It's up to you to depict what the stock story is trying to tell you. You know, you want to try to figure out what everybody else in the world is looking at and putting it together. You'll just get better with practice and practice and practice. The more you do this, the better and faster you'll get. And that's the honest truth. It's like with football, basketball, any sports athlete. It's repetition. Doing the same thing, the same routine over and over and over and over again. Doing the same boring thing over and over. It's repetition. That's why it's so important to develop a routine that you do every single day. It starts to develop good habits. You know, sleeping in every day and every weekend, not grinding, putting in that work, being lazy. You want to develop good routines, and then habits will start to form and your body will adjust. It takes 30 days, a new habit, for your body and your mind to adjust to a new habit. So waking up 2 hours extra early every single day. For the first 30 days, your body and your mind's going to hate you. But then after that 30 days, you're going to adjust to it. And then you're not going to need an alarm. You're just going to start waking up naturally. You got to slowly adjust and just develop good habits. That's what it's all about. I hope this video helped you guys out a lot and let you guys see how I look at charts and do technical analysis, and I hope it's helped you all out a lot. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Let's make this video go viral. Come on, guys. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and join the Trading Learning 101 community. I love sharing and showing you guys my process, my journey as a trader. I love the stock market, and I just love sharing and talking about the stock market with as many people as I can. And if I can just change and help just one person, I feel good about that because I know how hard it is when you first start out. But until next time, everyone, have that patience, have that discipline, and study, study, study. All right, everyone. Later. Alright, it's time for the bonus round. For anybody that watched this whole video, this is for you. This is the bonus content. This is very, very, very important when doing technical analysis on a stock. You want to see how the overall market is performing. 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market. And a great way to do that is with FinViz. You go to FinViz, right at the top here, it gives you the top indexes on how they're performing on the day. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones. 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market. But with penny stocks though too, penny stocks are a world of their own. They tend to do their own thing. But for the most part, 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market, and you want to see how the overall market is doing and know real quick. We'll pull up the SPY. You want to know what areas the index is at, so you can clearly see here. This is the SPY, the S&P 500. It's coming up to a resistance right here at this 260 level, so you're possibly not going to see a breakout. You're going to see a pullback on this. And 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market. If you're trying to buy a breakout on a stock, why would you do that when the overall market is at a resistance and about to pull back? Just makes no sense. So you want to look and see how all these major indexes are doing and follow them every day and see where they're at on the chart. Another cool thing, go to the groups tab up here, click on the charts, and you can break down all the indexes and all of the sectors and see how well they're performing and where they're at. Basic materials, consumer goods, financial, healthcare, industrial goods, services, technology, utilities, all this stuff. And you could see they're all pretty much doing the same thing. You could see that right there. They're all coming up to this 50-day moving average, a resistance line. You're going to be expecting a pullback. And you want to find out what stock, what sector is your stock in. You know, if you're looking at something, let's say basic materials sector is breaking out. It broke through this 50-day and it's surging up. You click on this, it's going to show you all the stocks that are in that sector. And you could go through here. You can look at this in a snapshot view like that. Stats, basic, tickers like that. I like to look at it in a charts view. This is a great, awesome video for you guys. Watch this over and over again and just take it in and write down, take notes on all of this stuff. It took me a long time to learn all this stuff and put it together. And I'm more than happy to share it with you guys. But going back to this, these are all the stocks that are in that subsector. And if that's breaking out to new highs, that overall sector, these stocks, 3 out of 4 of these stocks are going to follow. And you could clearly see out of all these charts on the daily, they all pretty much look the same. And you can see there's so many pages of them. Let's say you don't like to play. You only like stocks, but under $20. You go to the price here, click that, click under $20. Boom. You got all these stocks here now under $20. And you could go through and look at all of these. If you find one that's interesting to you, you can click on it and it's going to pull it up and it's going to give you all the fundamentals, all the insider buying and selling, the news, what they're saying on stock twits. Just great stuff for you guys. Great stuff. And this is how you get better and see how the overall market is doing. If there's any other things you wanted to add to it, like the relative volume, you want it to be over 1.5. The performance of it, you want it to be up today. You could add all that and filter through what you want. And you could see it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's how you find stocks. You don't technically need like trade ideas and stock scanners. You can use Finviz for free and just basic every night do a scan and pick out the stocks that you want to watch the next day. Add it to your watch list and see how it performs. Do technical analysis on it. Look into the fundamentals. And like I said, going back to the habit, doing this every single day. Developing a habit of doing this, you're going to get faster, you're going to get better, and you're just going to grow more as a trader. That's a little bonus content for anybody that stuck through and watched this whole video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Later, guys.